It was a Thursday night primetime matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, and this game would tell us a lot about the 49ers and their rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy. Could they go on the road on a short week into a hostile environment and win the NFC West on Seattle's field twice in a 4-year period? Welcome to Josh's Football Breakdowns, where we don't tell you what you're seeing, we let the film tell us what we're seeing. And I had a chance to see this game in person with my buddy Tony, and I also had a chance to meet John Chapman at this game as well. Alright, let's get right into the film. On the opening kickoff, Robbie Gould sends a bit of a line drive kick down the field. Not enough hang time, and the Seahawks get a good return. Temperature was about 31 degrees, so I don't think that was too much of a factor. Now, I really expected Seattle to lean heavily on Kenneth Walker and the run game to kind of keep things close, keep San Francisco's offense on the sideline, but they took to the skies an awful lot in this game. A bit of a surprise, I think. And here, guard Damian Lewis is beaten in pass protection by Kerry Hyder. You may remember Kerry Hyder had a great season for the 49ers a few years ago, but last year he played for the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith is flushed from the pocket, and you might remember back to a play we looked at with Brock Purdy where he threw back across his body, and I said that was a risky throw because it allows the defender to undercut it. And that's exactly what happens here. Dre Greenlaw is able to undercut this pass, and he almost comes up with an interception on the first drive of the game. Greenlaw has been playing great, logging a forced fumble or an interception in each of the last 3 games. These first 2 plays we've just looked at really tell the story of the whole game. The Seattle Seahawks took to the air 44 times and consistently got behind and down in distance, while the 49ers, on the other hand, leaned on Christian McCaffrey in the run game, and San Francisco dominated in the trenches on both sides of the football. Kyle Juszczyk is lined up in the tight end position next to George Kittle, and they both block to the outside. Naturally, safety Ryan Neal doesn't want to allow Christian McCaffrey the edge, so he sprints over there to take that away. Spencer Burford and Mike McGlinchey double team to the outside, and Jake Brendel and Aaron Banks double team the nose tackle. Jordan Brooks runs to fill the hole, and Christian McCaffrey utilizes the cutback to devastating perfection. Great job by Quandre Diggs running over and forcing McCaffrey back to the inside of the field, or he might have been gone. In the last game against Seattle, Diggs had to clean up a lot of plays on the back end for the Seahawks, and this game would be no different. Facing a key third down, the Seahawks here try something on defense that they saw in the Tampa Bay game, only rushing 3 and dropping extra men into coverage. But on the other side of the formation, the 49ers send Brandon Aiyuk deep, and he takes his defender with him. And who else would you want on third down? Jauan Jennings takes the space the defense left behind. Brock Purdy does a good job of holding the middle of the field long enough with his eyes to allow Jennings to open up. On this play, we see a little bit more of the same, with Brandon Aiyuk running a defender off, and when Kyle Juszczyk goes to the outside, Ryan Neal goes with him, opening up space for Christian McCaffrey. And even though Aaron Banks is beaten in pass protection, Brock Purdy, always the cool customer, delivers McCaffrey the football. To cap off the drive, the 49ers turn to a very old play. Purdy fakes the pass to Ray McCloud, who has a blocker out in front of him and a lot of space. This needs to be accounted for, and the Seahawks defense does just that, running over there to pick him up. But what really makes this play work, in my opinion, is the pulling guard, Spencer Burford, who appears to be blocking for Christian McCaffrey, again with a lot of space in front of him. This is a major threat, and once again, the Seahawks must account for this, which they do, carving a gaping hole in the middle of their defense for George Kittle. Well designed, well executed. Touchdown 49ers. They take the lead in this game and they would never look back. Robbie Gould tacks on the extra point, making the score 7-0 in the first quarter. Geno Smith did not have a good game. Here the Seahawks are in a run formation, but they're going to attempt a pass out of it. But he apparently never sees Talanoa Hufanga creeping up to the line on the perfectly timed blitz. Boom! He fumbles the football, and very fortunately for Seattle, the Seahawks recover it. So if you're keeping track, that's a near interception and a fumble on the first two drives of the game for Seattle. Here, Smith could have called a blocking audible for Parkinson, or at the very least, the tight end could have chipped Hufanga on the way out. Instead, it's a fumble, and Seattle finds themselves in another long down and distance situation, and they would punt back to San Francisco. So let's take a look here at an interesting situation that came up just before the end of the first quarter. Time is winding down, and facing a 4th down and 7, Brock Purdy keeps the offense on the field, and he gets Seattle to jump with 1 second left in the quarter. Ouch. This is going to be a 5-yard penalty on Seattle and brings up a very manageable 4th down and 2 on the 42-yard line. Perfect territory to go for it. But Shanahan decides to punt in this situation. It's a bit of a curious decision from Kyle Shanahan. I'm sure he's thinking, I have the best defense in the league, and I don't want to give Seattle any momentum at home by some kind of crazy play where we don't pick up the first down. Wishnowski booms this thing into the end zone for a touchback, so the 49ers only gain 22 yards of field position here. I think I would have played it a little differently, but I can't necessarily say that this was a mistake by Kyle Shanahan. Okay, let's move ahead. In the second quarter, the 49ers call a run, and Brock Purdy does a good job of showing the defense the football, getting them to react. Brandon Aiyuk pretends to run a route, and then engages in some of that great run blocking we've been taking a look at on this channel. Christian McCaffrey gains a couple of yards. Now, if you're a subscriber to this channel, you know that each of Shanahan's plays builds off of the previous plays. And this is a perfect example of that. Once again, you see Brock Purdy showing the defense the football. You see Brandon Aiyuk going out to do some more of that run blocking. And when the defense reacts, this time he keeps running all the way across the formation because this is going to be a pass. And Brock Purdy finds him. Here we see two defenders rotating down to pick up Christian McCaffrey. And that's because this time it's Quandre Diggs' turn to come on the safety blitz. Now Purdy knows he's going to have McCaffrey coming open here, but you can see he's got to throw this football before he wants to, and the pass falls incomplete. This is a good example of a blitz that, even though it didn't get home, was still successful. So the score is still 7-0. The teams have traded a couple of punts, and now the Seahawks are threatening with a few minutes left to go in the first half. Shoulder fake from Geno Smith here because the Seahawks are sending Will Dissly to the corner. They're counting on Talanoa Hufanga to go with him, opening up the middle of the field for Cody Parkinson. But Hufanga is reading Geno Smith the whole way. Geno holds onto this ball as long as he can, but the pass rush of Drake Jackson forces him to cut this thing loose, and Talanoa Hufanga almost has his 5th interception of the season. And that's twice in this game now the 49ers have almost picked off Geno Smith. So instead, the Seahawks get on the board with a field goal, making the score 7-3. Being an NFL mascot has to be the funnest job in the world, doesn't it? All right. The 49ers are in an end-of-half situation, and after 4 straight plays to Christian McCaffrey, they go for a deep shot to Jauan Jennings. The problem is you can see Quandre Diggs is sitting right there on that route. Now, with Ray McCloud coming across, I would have liked to have seen Brock Purdy throwing a pump fake or something just to try to move Quandre Diggs down to open this play up for Jauan Jennings. He does not, and this time it's the Seahawks' turn to almost pick off Brock Purdy. From this angle, we get another good look again at Ray McCloud coming across. A pump fake or something might have dropped Quandre Diggs down. We've talked about the fact that as good as Brock Purdy is, he's still a rookie, and we're still going to have to live with some of these rookie mistakes. 49ers get lucky on this one. So now with just over a minute left, it's going to be the Seahawks' opportunity to try to get some end-of-half points. The 49ers know this, and they stick their safeties way back. They're not going to get beat deep at the end of the half. Undaunted, the Seahawks send their receivers deep anyway, allowing Travis Homer to run underneath for some yards. A nice play design. Now, one thing the 49ers do really well on defense is rallying to the football. Jimmy Ward wraps him up, and Dre Greenlaw lowers the boom. And it's a fumble, and it's picked up by Ward, and he takes it almost all the way back. And this was a huge turning point in this game. Boom! What a perfect hit, and this completely changed the momentum in this football game because it would be all 49ers after this point. Christian McCaffrey punches it in, and Robbie Gould would knock through the extra point, making the score 14-3 at the half. One thing I want to quickly point out here, for a rivalry that in years past has kind of been shaped by some ugly moments, some personal fouls, late hits, unnecessary roughness, that kind of thing. Here we see a moment of good sportsmanship between the two teams. It was really clear during and after this game that these two teams really respected each other. You know, before this game started, there was a lot of nervous energy in the stadium. I felt like the Seahawks fans, of course, were nervous and concerned that their team would be up to the task of facing such a strong 49ers team. And on the flip side, if you're San Francisco, you know that there's no such thing as a normal game in Seattle. And nobody was quite sure who was going to win. After that play, right before the end of the half, it was like everybody could sense that there was a big momentum swing, and the only thing we could talk about in the stands during the halftime was the Seahawks had to get a stop on defense to start the third quarter. They could not let the 49ers go down the field and score. Well, you won't believe what happens next. Once again, we see Seattle only rushing 3 on this play, and it seems to be working out well for them. With 3 players on offense in the middle of the field, you can see that the Seahawks have clogged up the middle with a lot of defenders. But check out Christian McCaffrey, who once again has a lot of space and a blocker out in front of him. This needs to be accounted for by the defense, and when they scramble To cover him, they completely turn loose George Kittle. Brock Purdy gets him a beautiful ball, and then George Kittle uses his skill in the open field. Kittle seems to be as healthy and nimble as ever, and he takes it in for a 54-yard touchdown on the second play of the third quarter. Robbie Gould makes the score 21-3, a devastating turn of events for Seattle, who go down 3 scores against the number 1 defense. And the 49ers would continue to pour it on. Nick Bosa would knock his man to the ground and then take the quickest path to the quarterback. Now Geno Smith is hit as he throws, and with Tyler Lockett breaking to the outside right at that moment, the ball sails to the inside, and it's intercepted by Deommodore Lenoir, who takes it all the way back for a touchdown. But hold everything. The officials ruled that Nick Bosa roughed the passer on this play, an egregiously bad call that completely robs the 49ers of essentially a game-clinching and division-clinching touchdown. I was annoyed. You know, to the credit of the Seattle fans who were really cool in this game, they all turned to me and kind of patted me on the back and said, hey, that was not roughing, that's just football. It makes you wonder, does the NFL even care that there's not only the division at stake, the game at stake, but also seeding at stake? And the answer is yes. They have decided to look into making pass interference reviewable in the offseason because the officials can't seem to get it right. That would be evident on this play when Nick Bosa gets a nearly identical sack with no flag. So after the sack, the Seahawks are facing third down and eternity. So the 49ers stick everybody way back on defense, including Mooney Ward, and DK Metcalf takes the space the defense left behind, and he just gets some yardage. He tries to get some of that sack yardage back to set Seattle up for a long field goal attempt. Now, this is still a long attempt. It's a 51-yarder, and it's to the open end of the stadium, which is the more difficult end to kick to. But Jason Myers knocks it through a long field goal to keep Seattle in this game. Of course, if you're a 49er fan, you're thinking the score should have been 28-3. Now it's 21-6. Technically a 2-score game. With 4 minutes left in the third quarter, Shanahan decides it's time to start pounding the Seahawks with Jordan Mason. Now, going back to the Arizona game, I believe the 49ers have not attempted a pass with Jordan Mason in the formation. If I'm wrong about that, please leave me a comment and let me know. I read every comment. And of course, knowing that this is like 99.99% probably a run, the Seahawks defense reacts pretty aggressively, allowing Ray McCloud to sneak out to the other side. This is going to be another naked bootleg for Brock Purdy. And if you remember back to the Tampa game when the 49ers called a bootleg for Brock Purdy, there was a well-coached defender who disrupted the play. But Purdy was still able to make an outstanding move and find Deebo Samuel down the field for a big completion. That was an extremely impressive play. Well, this time, unfortunately, it's Brock Purdy's own teammate who disrupts the play as he and Jordan Mason get their feet tangled up together. And this, of course, is the type of thing which makes Shanahan not want to put the two of them on the field at the same time. You put a couple of rookies on the field, interacting with each other, and strange things can happen like that. But in this case, once again, Purdy makes a play, gets up, and then finds Ray McCloud for a completion. Now, unfortunately, this play would not count because the 49ers were in an illegal formation. But, if there had been a negative play or even a fumble or something like that, the Seahawks simply could have declined the penalty. So it was important that Purdy get up and make a positive play, if nothing else. A lot of analysts, commentators, and fans thought that this was probably Brock Purdy's best play of the game. There was really two plays to choose from in that regard, and the analysts and fans were split about 50-50 on those plays. You probably already know the other play that I'm talking about and that I'm going to be bringing up later. All right, after the penalty, the Niners would punt the ball back to Seattle, and we're in the fourth quarter now. The teams have switched sides, and Seattle needs to get some points, so they're looking for a big play here to Noah Fant. But Geno Smith doesn't quite like what he sees, and he kind of stares down this play just a hair too long. He's never able to get over to his outlet, and the pocket collapses. After the sack, the Seahawks are reluctantly forced to punt the football. Now, Michael Dixon does an interesting punt here. It lands around the 18, but then rolls all the way down to the 1-yard line. Wow. Backed up on their own goal line, we get to the other play that folks will say was Brock Purdy's best play of the game. And I am firmly in this camp that this was his best play of the game. But first, let me set the stage. It's 3rd down and 7. They're backed up against their own goal line in the loudest part of the stadium. This is when Brock Purdy is going to be facing maximum pressure. And under maximum pressure, the rookie stands in and delivers a strike to Jauan Jennings. These are exactly the kind of plays the rookie is going to have to make in the playoffs, on the road, in a hostile environment. When the pressure is at the max, he's going to have to stand and deliver, and that is why I believe this play was his best play of the game. With about 8 minutes to go, time is winding short for the Seahawks, who still need 2 scores. And this time, it's the 49ers who apply a little pressure of their own, sending Dre Greenlaw on a blitz. The 49ers also used Tayshaun Gibson as a spy on Geno Smith on this play. And with all the receivers for the Seahawks covered, and the pass rush beginning to close in on him, Geno tries to flip this ball out, but he's still in the pocket. The ball does not get to the line of scrimmage. You can see where it bounces, and there's the line. This ball is nowhere near an eligible receiver, and this would be called for intentional grounding. This would be a significant penalty because it's a spot foul and loss of down. This really hurt the Seahawks' chances of coming back in this game because now they're going to have to punt the ball back to San Francisco, who's just going to take even more time off the clock. So if you're keeping track, that's a fumble, 2 near interceptions, 1 interception that was called back, a bad sack, and now an intentional grounding penalty against Geno Smith in this game. Now, I'm being hard on Geno Smith, but to be fair, he is going against the number 1 defense, and again, I question the strategy. If the Seahawks had run the ball perhaps earlier in the game and maybe tried to keep things a little closer, he probably wouldn't have been in a position to throw the ball 44 times against that San Francisco pass rush. So how do the 49ers start to work on closing this thing out? Well, they run the ball with Christian McCaffrey. And here, he makes a move, but Quandre Diggs, if he bites on this move, McCaffrey's probably gone. We've seen Frank Gore do this so many times. Diggs does a good job of staying home and makes the tackle here. It's still a gain of 11 yards. Let's go back to the snap. Trent Williams fires off to the second level. So who then blocks the end? Well, the 49ers bring George Kittle around to do that. Kyle Juszczyk comes over and picks off the other linebacker. and Christian McCaffrey runs right in between the blocks of Juszczyk and Trent Williams. A good idea. "32 touches in this game and a little slow to get up after the play, but he'll have 9 days to recover." So the 49ers continue to lean on McCaffrey. And here we see Tyler Kroft and George Kittle setting the edge, and just when the Seahawk defenders get off those blocks is when they realize Christian McCaffrey is not holding the football, because this is a pass. Brock Purdy is going to have his choice of George Kittle or Tyler Kroft. Purdy throws the deep ball to Kroft and just makes it look so natural, and it's another big play in the 49er passing game. "28-yard gain on the play." A few plays later, there would only be 5 minutes left in the game, and the 49ers would be facing a key third down. What should they do here? I thought that the 49ers would probably run the ball here and then just kick the field goal. Take more time off the clock, add on another score, and then kick off to the Seahawks. Kyle Shanahan decided he wanted to win the game right here, right now. They're in a passing formation. He's going to put the ball into the hands of Brock Purdy. Brandon Aiyuk makes a move to the outside. When his defender bites on the move, he comes back to the inside. What about this linebacker? Well, first it's the route of Ray McCloud that keeps him occupied. And then when the dangerous third down monster Jawan Jennings comes across, he drops down to pick him up. Once again, Purdy throws a strike and Brandon Aiyuk drops it. With the game on the line, look at the location of this throw. That was a significant drop for Aiyuk, and the 49ers would compound their mistake. Robbie Gould attempting a 43-yard kick, not as long as the one Jason Meyer attempted, but this thing, as you can see, is way off. Not even close. They missed the field goal. It's still a 2-score game with 5 minutes left, and the Seahawks are going to take over with good field position. With 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, the Seahawks are threatening, and here they finally get the look they want against Talanoa Hufanga, something they were going for all game long with Noah Fant and Tyler Lockett in his area. Fant is the open man, and Geno Smith gets him the football for a key touchdown late in the game. So they don't go for two here. They just kick the extra point, and this is going to make the score 21-13, so it's an 8-point game. The Seahawks need to get the ball back, and they need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion just to tie it. But the 49ers finally close this game out officially. Facing a key third down to end the game, Brock Purdy holds the football out for the defense to see, because if they can suck in the defense here, maybe they could get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. But Nwosu, he's very disciplined. Remember, he had that great game against the 49ers in week 2. He stays with Christian McCaffrey the whole way. Brock Purdy is going to have to scramble and run this thing in for a first down. As part of the play design, once again, Shanahan putting the game in the hands and feet of his young rookie. And Purdy stretches the ball across the line to gain. A very heady play for a young player. He picks up the first down. Did you forget watching this that Purdy was hurt? Now, Pete Carroll does challenge the play. It was a bit of a desperation attempt to try to save an opportunity somehow, some way for his team. The play would be upheld upon review, but one thing the challenge does, when you lose the challenge, you're charged a timeout, and that timeout is in effect, it stops the clock. So the 49ers are going to have to run one more play here, and this is the result. Of course, us 49er fans in the stands are screaming, "Go down, go down, go down." And here it's actually a mistake for the Seahawks to knock Mason out of bounds, because if he had scored there, Seattle gets the football back. I know I'm being silly at this point, but if we're being technical, he should have gone down on purpose inbounds to end the game. Once again, Trent Williams fires off to the second level, and this time they leave the end more or less unblocked, and then Charlie Warner comes over and rather cleverly pins him to the inside, opening up the lane for Jordan Mason. I will keep shouting it from the mountaintops. Jordan Mason is Marion Barber reincarnate. Well, there you have it. The Seahawks try to make a game of it late, but, to be honest, sitting there, just the feeling in the stadium, even when they scored late, it felt like the 49ers were still in control of the game. Like I said, they had just completely dominated in the trenches on both sides of the football. Extremely impressive performance from San Francisco and Brock Purdy going on the road on a short week into a hostile environment and pretty much controlling that game. Thursday night, sitting there watching that team was the first time that I really felt like we might be able to compete with Philadelphia and be able to go into that environment. Obviously a much better team, the Eagles. Both teams were a little bit banged up in this game. Seattle had no interior line, and we were able to just push and push and push up the middle over and over again with Christian McCaffrey. And when you talk about the key players for the 49ers, you got to talk about Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, of course, Dre Greenlaw, who made the huge game-changing play. He's been doing that all year. He's really just, especially recently, been incredible. And, of course, the other player you got to talk about is Nick Bosa. He dominated, consistently putting pressure on Geno Smith, who was forced into a lot of passing situations. The Seahawks faced third and longs all day and were never really able to get anything going against the 49ers. For Seattle, it's another disappointing loss. Back-to-back-to-back home losses. Second time in 4 years, your hated division rival, the 49ers, clinched the NFC West on your field. It doesn't get any easier for Seattle. They have to go on the road to Kansas City. Then they come home and play the Jets. So a tough road ahead for the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll's going to have those guys ready to compete, though. Don't count them out yet, but it's not looking good. They're still alive. They're still breathing, but they're on life support in terms of their playoff hopes. The Niners, on the other hand, have clinched no lower than the third seed and are poised to move into that second seed as soon as Minnesota doesn't set NFL records for largest comeback ever in a game. They were down 33 points to the Colts and made history on Saturday, saving their 2 seed. They still have 3 more games to play, though, so I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers don't end up moving into that second seed. Interestingly enough, though, the second seed is probably going to have to play the surging Detroit Lions. That's going to be an interesting game. I still like my chances with the 49ers, especially if they're at home. For San Francisco, they just got to do their job. They've got a tough Washington Commanders team who's very angry about that loss, kind of a missed call at the end of the game against the Giants the other night. They're going to come in looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. The problem for Washington is they are, of course, going to be on the road on a short week. Hopefully the 49ers don't overlook this opponent. They need to take the Commanders very seriously. They are another playoff team. If they win this game, that'll be back-to-back-to-back-to-back, playoff teams or aspiring playoff teams beaten by Brock Purdy. He's done as much as we could ever ask and hope for a rookie to do in these circumstances. He has played great. He has looked great. His footwork has been great. His decision-making has been great. He has made a few rookie mistakes. We're going to have to live with them. But we're talking maybe 1 per game, and the rest of it just looks phenomenal. Very comfortable in the pocket, natural thrower of the deep ball. Very, very, very exciting prospects for Brock Purdy. No, we can't crown him yet. I know, a lot of fans are wanting to do that. We still need more data, right? It's only been 3 games. We've got 3 more regular season games to play, and then The real test will be, how does he perform in the postseason when the pressure is at its maximum? Maybe even an unfair test for a rookie, so I will be very curious to see how he responds. But for the 49ers, they're in great shape. They have lined up all the dominoes in the best way possible that they can line them up. Shanahan has put this team in a position to succeed, and the sky is the limit for the 49ers. It's time to start dreaming a little bit. I know some of you get uncomfortable with that, but life is short, so what fun is life if you can't dream? I say dream big. Folks, I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to support this channel, really gone out of their way to go the extra mile to offer your support. Thank you so much. You guys, every week I say it, but you mean the world to me. It really is just a tremendous, tremendous help, a tremendous honor. I'm so humbled week after week. Thank you guys so much. You are the absolute best. I love you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If I could just ask one more thing, if you guys could just take 10 seconds and hit that like button on your way out, I would really appreciate it. All right, it's going to be Niners and Commanders on Saturday, right? Set your calendar. No games on Christmas. Well, not for the 49ers anyway. Saturday game against the Commanders. It's going to be an interesting game, I think. Washington, you know, they did not look good against the Giants, but they are no slouch, believe you me. I can't wait to see this game. I've been looking forward to it all year. Either way, win or lose, you know what's going to happen. After that game, we are going to be here to break down that film, and I will see you guys then.